All right, so you guys send in some material on this Brainrot content thing. And honestly, I got to say, even the name itself, it really got me thinking. Like, who would actually want to make content that makes it sound like your brain is, well, rotting?
Right.
But the thing is, this document you sent, podcast.pdf, it claims that this is actually like a super effective strategy for growing on YouTube.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting how this brain rot content seems to tap right into how the attention economy works. It's almost like it found some kind of shortcut, to our brains, and
Yeah.
it uses how we're wired against us to keep us like completely hooked.
So it's like junk food for our brains, right?
Well,
You know
yeah.
it's not good for you, but you just kind of keep craving it. But what exactly makes something brain rot?
Well, podcast.pdf lays out these 5 main things that make content brain rot. It's got to be short, visually overstimulating, go viral easily, not require a lot of focus from the viewer, and be something you can watch over and over.
Okay, let's break that down. Short format, I get that, like TikTok stuff, less than 10 minutes, sometimes way shorter. It's all about that instant satisfaction, grabbing your attention before you even know what's happening.
Think about the last time you were scrolling, on YouTube. How long did you actually spend thinking about whether to click on a video?
Let alone.
Right. This brain rot content, it knows our attention spans are like shrinking. It just throws these quick bursts of entertainment at you. It's designed to get you hooked in like seconds.
And then there's the whole overstimulating visuals thing. I'm picturing like flashing lights and a ton of quick cuts that make your eyes go crazy, and maybe just memes and text all over the place.
Yeah. It's almost like a sensory overload, but somehow it just pulls you in,
Yeah.
Our brains, they crave new things on stimulation, right?
Yeah.
And this type of content, it just feeds right into that.
Makes sense. And then we've got the viral appeal. Obviously, that's like super important for anything online these days. It seems like brain rot content is designed to be like super shareable, using those trending challenges, relatable humor, anything that's likely to like blow up on the internet.
It's all about tapping into what everyone is thinking about and making it something that people can share super easily.
Yeah.
Plus, it doesn't take a lot of effort to watch. You don't need any background info or to think too hard to understand it. Perfect for when you're just scrolling, without really paying attention.
So you're saying you could be half asleep scrolling through YouTube and still get completely sucked in. I think we've all been there.
Oh, for sure. And don't forget about how easy it is to watch over and over again. It's made for binging. You can just leave it on in the background and it just keeps going.
Which, of course, is exactly what the YouTube algorithm wants. It's all about maximizing that watch time, keeping people on the platform for as long as possible.
Yeah, and podcast.pdf goes even deeper, explaining how this brain rot content is basically made to play the algorithm. It's all about getting those click-through rates up and making sure people watch for as long as possible. The things that make YouTube happy.
Right, and it seems like YouTube Shorts is just like the perfect place for this type of stuff. They are pushing those short videos like crazy.
Totally.
Especially if it gets people watching a ton of videos in a row.
Yeah, shorts have created this whole environment where brain rot content can totally thrive. Plus, there's the viral thing we talked about. This stuff is made to be shared without even trying, which gives creators a real chance to go viral.
It's like a shortcut to reaching tons of people. You can bypass all the hard work of building a following. Plus, a lot of times this type of content doesn't even need fancy equipment. It's about pumping out content as quickly as possible and doing it constantly.
Exactly. Which can lead to way faster growth just from the sheer amount of videos. And we can't forget about who they're targeting. This brain rot content seems to really hit home with younger audiences, especially Gen Z.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They grew up online with information coming at them from all directions. It makes sense that they'd be drawn to stuff that's quick, easy to understand, and entertaining.
Makes sense. And even though it might seem kind of surface level, a lot of brain rot content has these super relatable creators. They really connect with their viewers and build a sense of community.
It's like they're saying, hey, I'm just like you, sharing those inside jokes and internet humor.
Right.
They're not trying to be something they're not, which is often way more appealing than someone trying to be super polished or perfect.
And of course, that leads to more subscribers.
For sure.
Okay, so we've got this picture forming, right? Content that's short, stimulating, goes viral easily, is super easy to watch, and something you can watch over and over again. And it seems like this formula actually works. Podcast.pdf even has some insights from some big-name YouTubers about this whole brain rot thing.
Yeah, they interviewed some pretty major players, and what they have to say is really interesting.
Oh, I'm all ears. What do these YouTube stars have to say about all this?
So first up, we've got Mr. Beast, like the king of YouTube. He's known for those crazy stunts and videos that keep you on the edge of your seat, and he's super strategic with his editing.
Right. His editing is legendary. He said before that every single frame of a video matters.
Exactly.
Like, you have to keep the viewer engaged constantly or they'll click away.
And that approach, while maybe a little extreme with Mr. Beast, is basically the core of Brainrot content. It's about getting rid of those slow parts, those moments where a viewer might get bored and just click away. You got to keep them hooked, keep them entertained, keep their brains, firing on all cylinders.
This is making me realize how calculated some of this content actually is. It's like a science designed to trigger those dopamine hits and keep us coming back for more.
Yeah, for sure. And then we have Hank Green, who's known for making educational content, stuff that really makes you think. It's funny because he's actually been pretty outspoken about how platforms like YouTube encourage addictive content.
Right? He's talked about how for a lot of creators, the goal isn't really to make people smarter. It's to just keep them on the platform for as long as they can,
Exactly.
which is kind of scary when you think about it.
Absolutely. It makes you wonder about the potential downsides. If we're always consuming this brain rot content, what happens to our attention spans in the long run? Can we still, engage with more complex ideas?
Yeah, it's a good question. Before we go too deep into that, let's hear what Ali Abdaal has to say. He's all about productivity. So I'm really curious to hear what he thinks about this unproductive content.
Right. Well, even Ali, with his focus on being efficient and improving yourself, he gets the power of YouTube Shorts, for growing an audience. He's even said that sometimes those random or shallow videos can actually lead people to find better content later on.
Interesting. So even someone who seems like the opposite of a brain rot creator actually sees the potential in it.
Yeah, it seems that way. And I think it shows that you can use brain rot content strategically, without giving up your values or integrity as a creator. It's about finding the right balance, using the good parts of this type of content while still offering something valuable to your audience.
Okay, so we've talked about what brain rot content is, how it works, and even heard from some of the biggest YouTubers. But I think it's time to address the elephant in the room, the potential downsides. Because, let's be honest, brain rot doesn't exactly sound like a good thing.
You're not wrong. No, you're right. The name itself kind of makes you think twice.
Yeah.
Podcast.pdf doesn't ignore those concerns either. One of the biggest worries they point out is how much it focuses on keeping people watching instead of actual substance. You might get those views and subscribers, but are you really connecting with your audience, on a deeper level?
It does make you wonder, are people really getting something out of it, remembering what they watched? Or are they just kind of passively watching and then moving on to the next thing?
Exactly. And for creators, constantly having to churn out this high energy, attention grabbing content, it can be really draining. There's a real risk of burning out, especially if you're always trying to keep up with trends and the algorithm, which, changes all the time.
It's like running on a treadmill that keeps getting faster and faster. And then
Yeah.
there's the whole reputation thing. If all you're known for is brain rot content, people might see you as a sellout or like you don't have any depth.
That's a really good point. It's a tough balance. Podcast.pdf also brings up the ethical side of things. Like, are creators taking advantage of viewers, for their own gain? If we're basically getting people hooked on this type of content, are we actually doing them more harm than good?
That's a tough one. At the end of the day, it's up to the viewer to decide what they want to watch. But as creators, I do think we need to think about the impact our content has, even if it's just meant to be entertaining.
Definitely. And that's where those strategies in podcast.pdf come in. It's not about ditching brain rot content completely. It's about using it in a way that's smart, thoughtful, and maybe even ethical.
Okay, so how can creators actually use this stuff effectively without falling into those traps? What specific strategies does podcast.pdf suggest?
One of the big ones is to mix brain rot with real value. Don't just rely on shallow entertainment. Combine it with stuff that's educational, thought-provoking, or offers some real insights.
So find that sweet spot between that dopamine rush and something that actually sticks with you.
Exactly. It's like you're giving people what they want, but you're also giving them what they need. And those first few seconds of a video are super important. You have to grab their attention right away or you've lost them. Use humor, interesting visuals, thought-provoking questions, whatever works to keep them watching.
Like you're trying to figure out what makes people tick, what will keep them interested.
Yeah, right. And even though jumping on trends can be effective, it's important to add your own twist. Don't just follow the crowd. Find ways to make your content stand out, make it unique.
Put your own spin on it, inject your personality so it feels authentic. I like that.
Yeah. And never underestimate good editing, especially for those short videos. Every second has to count. Keep it tight, keep it moving, cut out anything that might make someone click away.
It's like you have to respect the viewer's time,
Yeah.
and you have to earn their attention with every single frame.
Exactly. And lastly, think of brain rot content as a way to get people more involved. Use those catchy short videos to pull people in and then, point them toward your longer content. That's where you can really dig into more complex topics and build a stronger relationship with your viewers.
I see what you mean. It's like using Brainrot as a stepping stone.
Yeah.
You draw people in with entertainment, but then offer them something more substantial once they're hooked.
Right.
It's actually pretty clever.
Yeah, it is. But remember, it's all about finding that balance. We have to be aware of those downsides we talked about and use brain rot content in a way that feels true to you and what you're all about.
This is making me realize it's not such a black and white issue. There's a lot of nuance, ethical stuff to think about, and a lot of responsibility falls on the creators. But before we wrap up, I think it would be helpful to look at some real-life examples. Podcast.pdf mentioned some creators who are doing this brain rot thing really well, right?
Yeah, they did. I think taking a look at these examples can teach us a lot about how this type of content works and how to use it successfully and responsibly.
Okay, let's do it. Who did they highlight?
Mm.
I'm curious to see how they're putting this into practice.
Well, they start with Ryan Trahan. He's really good at combining, that brain rot style with real storytelling. He's a great example of how to mix entertainment and something with more substance.
I've seen some of his stuff. He does those fast-paced challenge videos, right?
Yeah. But he's really good at incorporating humor and personal stories into those challenges. He keeps people entertained while also giving them a peek into his life and who he is.
So it's not just mindless entertainment. There's an actual connection there, like you're getting to know him as a person.
Exactly. That's a big part of building a loyal audience. People aren't just subscribing for the challenges, they're subscribing for Ryan Trahan, the guy behind the videos.
So it's like the brain rot stuff gets people in the door, and then it's his personality and stories that keep them coming back.
Right.
Makes a lot of sense.
And it's definitely working for him. He's built a huge following and a successful brand doing this. Another creator they talk about is Max Fasha. He's all about that quirky, meme-filled comedy that's so popular in the brain rot world.
I think I've seen some of his videos. He's the one who does those crazy stunts and challenges, usually making fun of himself in the process, right?
That's the one. His videos are all about embracing the ridiculous, pushing the boundaries of what we think of as normal YouTube content. And the way he edits his videos is perfect for that. The quick cuts, sound effects, and text on the screen just add to the craziness.
Like he's using the brain rot style to make his comedy even funnier.
Exactly. And it definitely works for his audience. He's become one of the most popular YouTubers in the UK. It shows that brain rot content, when done well, can be a really powerful way to build a career online.
Okay, so we've got Ryan Trahan, who adds personal stories to his brain rot, and Max Fosh, who leans into the absurdity of it all.
Yeah.
Who else is on this list of brain rot masters?
Podcast.pdf also mentions Eric, a creator who takes brain rot content to a whole new level of production.
Eric. Okay, that name rings a bell. He's the one known for those elaborate stunts and social experiments, right?
You got it. He's known for those high-energy, fast-paced videos, often involving pranks, challenges, or social commentary. But what makes him different is how much effort and production goes into his content.
Now that you mention it, I have seen some of his videos. They have this really polished, cinematic look to them. Great camera work, sound, visual effects. It's like high-budget brain rot, if that makes sense.
Exactly. He's figured out how to take those addictive qualities of brain rot content, like the humor and pacing, and combine them with a level of polish that's not usually associated with this type of content.
He's basically taken the best of brain rot, the humor, the pacing, the viral appeal, and made it look like a Hollywood production.
Exactly. And it's clearly working. He's gained millions of subscribers in a pretty short time, proving that brain rot content, when done with creativity and skill, can be a huge force on YouTube.
It's really cool to see these different approaches to brain rot, like different interpretations of the style.
Yeah. And it's not just limited to these big creators. Podcast.pdf also talks about how YouTube Shorts creators are totally killing it with this type of content.
Oh yeah, Shorts. That's where so much is happening these days. Tons of creators are finding success with those bite-sized videos. Who do they mention specifically?
They highlight Kabi Lame and Beluga. They're great examples of creators who have really figured out how to make it work.
Kabi Lame, the master of those wordless reactions. His videos are so funny, he's so expressive. And Beluga, he does those animated storytime videos, right?
Yes. Both of them have built huge followings with their short, engaging, and super repeatable content. Kabi Lame, with his silent critiques and humor that everyone can relate to, has become a global star. And Beluga's animated stories, with their unique characters and surprising twists, are super popular.
It's amazing how they've used short videos to reach so many people. It just shows that brain rot content in all its forms is a global phenomenon.
I totally agree. And I think all of these examples show us something important from podcast.pdf. Brain rot content, even though people say it's shallow or mindless, can actually be a really powerful way to connect with an audience, build a sense of community, and even spark creativity.
It's like anything else. It can be used for good or for bad. It all depends on the intention and how it's done.
You got it. And I think it shows how creative these creators are. They're adapting to this ever-changing online world, finding new ways to capture our attention and keep us coming back for more.
It makes you wonder, what's next for brain rot content? Will it keep evolving, or have we reached, like, peak brain rot?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? Podcast.pdf doesn't really give us a clear answer, but I think it's safe to say that, as long as platforms like YouTube care about keeping people engaged and watching for as long as possible, creators are going to keep finding new ways to grab our attention, even if it means pushing the boundaries of what we even consider brain rot.
It really does make you think about where all of this is going. This deep dive has definitely changed how I see brain rot content. It's way more complex than it seems at first. It's not just some silly trend. It's like it shows how our whole relationship with online entertainment is changing.
Totally. It's something we need to look at more closely, analyze it, really think about it, and maybe even approach it with a little bit of, like, cautious optimism. Who knows what these creators will come up with next?
For real. This has been a super interesting conversation. We've looked at what brain rot content is, how it works, and even the potential downsides. But now it's time to bring it back to you guys.
Exactly. What are your thoughts on all this? Are you a creator trying to figure out how to use this brain rot stuff? Or are you a viewer who's kind of worried about what it might be doing to us?
Yeah, we want to hear from you. But before we wrap up, let's go back to those strategies for success that podcast.pdf talked about. It all comes down to finding that balance, right? Grabbing attention, but also giving people something of value.
Definitely. Remember that mixing brain rot with substance is key. Don't just focus on empty entertainment. Pair it with something educational, something that teaches people something or offers real insights. Give the audience what they want, but don't forget to give them what they need too.
Right. And those first few seconds are super important. You got to hook the viewer right away or they're gone. Use humor, visuals, questions, whatever it takes to get their attention and make them want to keep watching.
And if you're going to use those trends, find a way to make them your own. Don't just blindly follow everyone else. Add your own unique spin to it so it feels genuine and engaging.
And of course, good editing is crucial. Keep those videos tight, keep them flowing, keep them engaging, even if they're super short.
Right, every second counts. It's all about respecting the viewer's time and attention, making sure every part of the video has a purpose. And remember, brain rot content can be a way to get people more involved. Use those catchy short videos to draw people in and then lead them to your longer content. That's where you can really dig into more complex topics and build a stronger relationship with your audience.
So it's not about just relying on brain rot. It's about using it strategically as part of a bigger plan.
Exactly. As you're figuring out this whole brain rot content thing, keep this question in mind. In this world where everyone is fighting for our attention, what responsibility do creators have to their audiences? Where do we draw the line between entertainment and, taking advantage of people?
That's a really important question. And it's something we all need to be thinking about, both as viewers and creators. There's no easy answer, but it's a conversation we need to have.
We've talked about what makes brain rot content brain rot, looked at the strategies that make it successful, and even considered the potential downsides. Now it's up to you to decide how you want to interact with it.
Right. Will you use its power for good? Use it to educate, inspire, and entertain? Or will you fall into the trap of just mindlessly consuming it? The choice is yours.
As you keep exploring this online world, remember to stay curious, stay critical, and stay engaged.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of brain rot content. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those brains sharp.